welcome to season 2 of B2B Synergy, the Power Partners USA podcast, your exclusive guide to discovering the potential of B2B partnerships. I'm Alan Armijo, owner of Power Partners USA business-to-business introduction and referral service. Our members are B2B professionals who team up to provide each other repeat referral business or collaboration. Today's episode shines a light on Johnny Garcia, owner of Entelligage AI and new Power Partners USA member. I have been looking forward to talking to Johnny about their AI services because AI is front and center. It's all you hear about now. We're also happy to announce that this interview will be available in our new Power Partners AI platform developed by Johnny's company. I met Johnny at a B2B marketing conference in Los Angeles. And out of all the AI companies there, Johnny and Kelvin, one of his partners, were the only ones who could explain to us in English what are the applications for AI in business. So welcome, Johnny.
Thank you, Alan. I am glad to be here, and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Great. Let's start out by talking about some definitions. Like, what are some of the off-base portrayals you're seeing versus how you apply AI for your companies?
Yeah, so just to kind of give you a little bit of background of who we are and where we come from. My background is in data analytics, data analysis, enterprise data warehousing for very large corporations. Been in the industry over 20 years, mainly in the finance industry. And my partners, we have PhD economists, mostly in the data analysis, building regression models, neural networks. My background is also in data analytics or neural networks for big corporations. I know a lot of people are talking about some fears and apprehensions about the capabilities of what AI can do. And I actually tell everyone right now, a lot of my clients, I actually think that artificial intelligence for the generative AIs that we have right now might be a misnomer. I like to call it aggregated intelligence, not artificial intelligence, because in all honesty, what we have isn't really thinking for itself. It cannot come up with anything brand new. What it can do extremely well and what it's trained to do is to predict what the next word or concept is based off of whatever it was asked. So in other words, you're putting in the entire corpus of human intellect and data from the internet or whatever data sources we've captured and fed through the models. And we have trained it to say, hey, out of all this information, here's the right answers versus here are the wrong answers. So now it knows probabilistically what the next possible word, sentence, or idea should be based on what it is that you're asking. So it's not coming up with new ideas. It's identifying out of all of our breadth of knowledge, human knowledge, what the probability of the solution is and providing that to us. So that's what the dangers and the pluses of AI are. So when you hear people talking about hallucinations or AI being bad, it really depends on how you feed or how you train your environment, your AIs. And again, it's based off of human knowledge.
Well, let's take a step back there because what you just described is AI, how people are using it, say in ChatGPT, where it's taking the aggregate of all of the information wherever it's pulling from, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a hallucination, like you say, is them kind of fuzzing an answer, right?
Yeah. Well, so the way that the models function is it's kind of like, again, computers are just a machine that are fed a series of instructions. And the instructions for an AI is produce an answer. So it gives you an answer. It's always going to try to produce a result. So even if it doesn't know or can't find the best answer, it'll go to the next best answer. How can I explain this? So like the probability from 0 to 100, let's call it 90% to 10%. We should say, hey, you shouldn't be producing any kind of response if it's less than 80% probabilistic, right? But in the beginning, we were never seeing any kind of responses that were less than 90%. But there were certain niches that not enough data was trained into the model. So the probability dropped, but we didn't pass the instruction to the AI to say, hey, on those rare occasions where you don't have the right answer, don't give it.
Right.
So it just said, hey, I'm just going to give it to you. It's not the best answer, but it's still an answer.
It's a hallucination.
Correct.
Okay. So for most people, AI is new. They don't care what a hallucination is. They don't care or will never understand where all the data is coming from. They just know that they can now with ChatGPT pull down an answer.
Correct.
And for the most part, it's pretty accurate, right? But when you're talking about deeper and deeper levels, all right, now, but we're here to talk about IntelliGauge, not ChatGPT. We just want to give a background of what's where this is going, because how do you use that? I mean, I can explain what you built for me, but talk about that aggregate.
So
What is a company
yeah.
that you're dealing with do with AI now?
So one of the key reasons that we started Intelligage, again, we came from very large corporations, and we had a lot of friends that had their own small and medium sized businesses. And we noticed that there was this gap. And basically, this new technology, AI, we feel is going to be a game changer. It's already been a very huge game changer in the last year. But unfortunately, as you said, these small and medium sized businesses really don't understand what it is or how it can benefit their business. And even if they did, a lot of them don't have the resources to hire the people they would need or even buy the tools or the infrastructure to implement these things. So what Intelligage is we are a company where we are AI implementation experts. Okay. So the way we decided to do it is you get to work with a group of data analysts and AI experts that will come in and work with you to identify your business services, your products, your entire feature set. And then we work with you to identify how AI can improve your business. It could be by making your services more efficient. It could be by helping you get more clients. It could be by helping you become more compliant. The capacity of AI to help the business is vast. And so that's one of the things that a lot of these small businesses struggle with, that they don't understand how AI can help. That's where we come in. That's our expertise. We come in and we identify those for you and help you. And then we implement it for you. But on top of that, we also manage the AI. We don't just build it and implement it for you. We manage it for you as well. And to keep that cost relatively manageable for small and medium sized businesses, instead of charging you for like we're building you an app and walking away, we build you on a monthly subscription model. So it makes
Right.
it easier for you to afford.
Okay, so it's basically a software as a system model, like
Correct.
for like
Yeah, but you also
like
get the expertise of our team as well as, so the business analysis, system analysis, implementation, and management. So you
right
get all
now.
that in our service.
Obviously, you have the expertise on the AI side, but just for definition's sake, software as a system model is like what you get with QuickBooks, like what you get when you buy a website that has a content management system. Now you have another layer or another service that a company can purchase that does something specifically for them. Now, when I say that, we have to talk about this, how I understand it and how I'm using it, is that that's their information. That's their proprietary information. That's their database that you're pulling from, right? Can you, how that might vary between companies?
Yeah, so that's the other thing that is very unique about the solutions that we offer. So for example, ChatGPT, which is the actual model that we use, not saying that we can't use other models, but ChatGPT is basically the gold standard right now. So that's the one that we use. If you were to go to use ChatGPT, it is trained on the world's information. So it's very unlikely that it'll have your proprietary information in its knowledge base. Moreover, you wouldn't want your proprietary information in their knowledge base. So what we've done is there are several different techniques that you can utilize. One of them, without getting too technical, is called RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation. And that's a process where you take your proprietary information and you inject it into the AI process. And then you have ChatGPT use your proprietary information as its sole context or its responses. So now you get the power and intelligence of ChatGPT, but the specificity of your services, products, and company.
Great. So now that I've got my proprietary information, how is it protected?
So that is one of the most critical factors. And this is one of the reasons that we actually use the Microsoft Azure platform. The reason we chose that particular platform is because Microsoft has one of the most rigid and strict security guidelines. But not only that, in our team, coming from corporate compliance backgrounds, Most of us worked for Citigroup, Disney. So we're very, very familiar with a lot of the federal or just organizational security protocols out there. We are very cognizant and very aware of NPI, Graham-Leach Bliley, Sarbanes-Oxley. So we build all of those protections into our products. And then on top of that, we use Microsoft's proprietary security protocols within all of our apps.
Okay. So that's a long way technically of saying that you
Basically, we
can,
store all of your information in a proprietary isolated database in a very secure environment that never leaves and goes to the public internet. So we go out and we grab all your data, say from a website, from your YouTube videos or wherever. We run it through our AI models and create what's called an AI knowledge base in our environment, and we manage that for you. And then copy of ChatGPT that we have that is only for you will now have access to that proprietary information, and it will only be used for your version of whatever app we build. And we have several versions of apps that we can build for you.
Okay, but you're saying you're taking public facing information. I know you can scrape or gather that information on behalf of a client to put it in the database, but that's already out there.
Right.
Now, but what if I want my client list to be accessible within my, proprietary information? Meaning, not all for companies, all information that we're talking about using, proprietary information is not for the public; it's for internal use, right?
Correct. Yeah. And that's another benefit of us using the Microsoft Azure environment. Because we build it in the Azure environment, we can use the storage accounts that we build within the Azure environment and open it up using their security groups to allow our clients to upload files directly into the storage account. And that will automatically be processed by our AI models and be added into the AI knowledge base.
Because that means the owner, the client, has control over what gets loaded into the database.
1000%. We actually create what are called tenants. Think of it as your own cloud environment for each one of our clients. None of our clients are commingled in any shape, way, or form. You have your own tenant where you manage your own users, you manage your own data, you manage all of it in their own resource groups and all of it. None of the databases are commingled. None of the users are commingled. None of the resource groups are commingled. Everything is isolated per client. And you guys can have access to all of your information.
Right. Because just as an example, I want to talk a little bit about how we work with you, but since we're talking about loading proprietary information, I loaded a contact list. Then one of the members says, "Hey, I don't want that commission information on there right now." So I have to reload it. I send it to you, but I have to send it to you again to update it. So original copy you uploaded will be overwritten by the new copy that doesn't have it.
Correct.
Correct? Okay.
Correct.
So good to know. So just to let the audience know, Power Partners has Johnny Service. He's built us a platform that our members can go in and have a conversation to find out what other members are about. Now, we've pulled our information from podcasts, our website, and short videos of content we've gathered from our members. And we have that on our website. It's out there public, but it's hard to really manage that type of information. It's just too much now. But with AI, I can create, using its capabilities, ask it, write a letter of introduction introducing this new member who's interested in Johnny's AI and why they should work together. Or, Power Partners are people who give each other repeat business. So I make an introduction between an estate planner and a realtor. And in doing so, it pulls all the contact information. I don't have to gather that. I don't have, it brings up things that I forgot about each member so that that information's in there in a well-written letter. And it saves me a lot of time. That's one of the real values of having a system like this is the cost savings and then just good use of the content. That's how we use it. I'm sure there's multiple other use cases. You work in education, you work in other areas, mortgages and things like that, right?
That's exactly what I was going to say is that The implementation of the AI really depends on the function of the company, right? They are for your use case, we're doing what's called a backend solution where you're doing it for a closed group of clients. So it's a very finite number of users and information that you want to be able to allow these people to be able to learn more about each other and make connections, which is great. But some of our other clients are more of the, hey, I want to generate or capture more leads of people who come to our website, or I want to be able to answer or have a AI knowledge base that answers questions better or in a better light and entices them to want to sign up for my service. So we can build our AI assistants to be public facing on people's website and answer not only their questions, but also point them in a direction or capture information from them that will then turn into a lead for the actual customer. There's also other scenarios, for example, as you mentioned, ed tech, right? So, our education, where interestingly enough, in your case, you want to give the most specific answer possible. In the ed tech, we're using it for students, and teachers don't want the kids to get the exact answer. They want them to learn. So we were able to engineer a assistant that actually helped students get the material and come up with critical thinking questions that he could ask the student to think about while they're researching the material and come to the answer themselves. So in essence, we're helping them learn. So the teachers found that extremely helpful and beneficial. And not only that, the reporting and analytics we provide for them also enable them to identify students who are struggling. They were asking questions, or if a number of students were asking questions, then all of a sudden the teacher can realize that maybe the curriculum or the subject matter wasn't being explained well in class, so she would fix her curriculum. But if it was just one particular student asking multiple questions, then maybe that one student needed extra tutoring. So there's 1,000 different ways, or actually innumerable number of ways that AI can be applied to certain businesses to help them accomplish whatever the goals are. And I know that sounds super complicated and most people don't know how AI could help them in their business, or they think that AI wouldn't be able to add any value to their business. I can tell you right now, I can't think of a single business where AI couldn't add value, but that's where our expertise comes in. We will work with you to understand your business, and then we would identify how AI could help your business either through lead gen, through efficiency gains, or however else we can identify AI to assist you.
Okay. So just to recap there, you mentioned some of the client uses for like, finance, education. I think you snuck in online retail. So
Yeah.
there's a lot that can be done. I'm sure there's more even. And so to, if a client or a person is like listening and says like, how can it help my company? What's the best way to get discovery for that client to see what can be done? Like, cause they might not know what they need, right?
Correct. And the best way to do that is to contact us. If you go to our website, intelligage.com or intelligage.ai, we actually have a contact form on our website that will ask you a series of questions to you about what kind of services or products you have and what are your ultimate goals. And what we do is our guys will then come up with a meeting agenda and we'll sit down and walk through your questionnaire sheet and get to know you and your business plan so that we can apply different ways we think AI could help your business. And then we fine tune it through a back and forth open dialogue with you. Again, anyone who tells you that AI can do X, Y, or Z without ever looking at your business, I would be very skeptical. The answer is yes, AI can help you with whatever, but without really understanding your systems, your process, your products, your services, what your capabilities and hindrances are, we can't really identify the best case of how AI can help you. But again, that's what our job is. And that's how we help you identify those things for you.
Right. Right. Because like, I can see how the technology evolves so fast that, you have a system, a platform, a way of working. Then some company comes and says, oh, we can just throw in this chatbot on your website and it'll do what you need it to do. Now, um, I know that they can't do that chatbot at the level you can, because how are they willing to give that, like proprietary information and be sure that it's going to be safe. And the other thing is that I gave the example of a client list, but you can take information like large ream information, right? Like what are examples of just massive content that you can take and
Right.
make useful?
Yeah. So right now, for example, one of our clients is one of the largest uses policies and procedures for the mortgage industry.
Mhm.
They have over 800 different documents. Some of those documents have 900 pages. And within those documents, there could be graphs, tables, so there's images embedded within it. So I think one of the most overlooked things about AI seems to be the buzzword, but one of the overlooked obstacles that I think a lot of people don't seem to understand is that, yes, the capacity for ChatGPT and the rest of them to upload your own documents so that it can be part of the knowledge base, that capability is there, but it's very, very rudimentary. They're not capturing all your data. Say, for example, you upload PDF with an image and text in there. It's only pulling in the text information. It's not pulling in the stuff from the image. Or say you have a document with 95 pages and have my staff, that's what we do for the first 2 weeks once we sign a client, is we go through and we identify all of your documents and try to figure out how are all the ways we can pull that information and make sure it stays relevant, or contextually together, because that is super important when we feed it to the AI model. It has to still stay in context in order for the AI to recognize it. It's kind of like I can't give you a textbook and rip out all the pages and put them in a random order and expect you to understand and read the textbook and make sense of it. You got to
Right.
keep it in some sort of order.
So my understanding is that it's say we use video,
Mhm.
but you're actually taking the transcript. You're not taking the actual images, but
So we
but
can. In your case, we're just taking the transcript. But if the images were important, or say in the video, you're telling me you were using a whiteboard and drawing out equation or
uh-huh.
making something that was critical to be added to the AI knowledge base, that is a capacity that we can add
Right.
to the AI knowledge base.
Just
That's the
cost
thing.
more. It just
Well,
costs
that's
more.
what I'm saying. AI is changing so fast. That capability just got launched within the last 3 months. It's now video to text,
Wow.
right? I mean, we have AI to text. Right now, we're trying, they're getting ready to launch into production. It's already in beta. This other model that's called Graph RAG, which is, I think, going to blow things away. Not to mention, I'm sure people have been hearing about what they're called general AI. Right now, we're in the world of generative AI. General AI is the next version of AI that is going to be thinking AI. They told us it was going to happen at the end of last year. They ran into some problems. We're not there yet. That we think going to be game changing, because that will supposedly, the promise is, be able to come up with its own original ideas. So that can be interesting from a capability standpoint, especially for small and medium sized businesses, right? It can come up with its own marketing plans and ideas and its own analysis to give you guys better returns on your marketing budget and stuff like that.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit then about IntelliGauge in terms of like how do you keep up with this rapid change in technology, this rapid advancements? Now, on top of that, how are you, what's the size of your company? What is your growth plans? What's in the future now for you?
Yeah. So Intelligage was founded about 1 year ago. I am the founder and CEO. My partner Kelvin is COO. We have currently 9 other people as part of our team, varying from data scientists to software developers, product managers, and strategists, and whatnot. We are actually actively fundraising, but we're getting ready to complete our next round of fundraising so that we can hire another very large round of employees, so that we can grow into. Right now, we're basically online and we'll take anyone in the US, but we're starting to get international inquiries as well. I don't feel we're capable to start handling those quite yet, because you got to deal with legal and language barriers there. So we're not doing that yet, but we want to. So that's one of the things that we plan on in the next, 3 to 6 months, to be able to hire on probably about 10 or 15% more staff than we have now, so that we can constantly be looking and integrating the new features that are constantly coming out in the AI world, and making sure that our platform is always up to date, but more importantly, integrating those new things and making it available to our existing clients. Because as part of the subscription model with us, you don't just get what was available to you at the time that you signed up. You get all that new stuff as it's coming out too.
Yeah, I'm amazed how, look, I love my system. I love what we're doing with Power Partners. And I do see these new updates and changes, revisions that you roll out. A lot of the stuff, look, when you deal with Johnny, you kind of have to turn over, let them tell you what's available. I didn't even know about this like predictive questioning. I thought that people would have to like type up their own question for if they want to look at a power partner and say, who is so and so? And you know nothing about it. And it tells you some information, but then it gives you examples of what else you should ask it based on the information that's in there. Because me or most people are like, I don't know what to ask next, but it gives you a hint. And then from there, it learns at that too. Like when I start writing letters, it's starting to write letters for me. It seems like, is that right?
Yeah, no, it's constantly learning in your conversation. It has memory. So it knows the entire history of the conversation you had with it. So it's keeping that in context. So as you're writing a letter, you can start saying, hey, you know what? I don't like that third sentence, or hey, add this, or you know what? Make it a little bit more informal or make it more formal.
Mm.
You don't even have to specifically keep reminding it of what you're talking about. It already knows you're talking about the letter that you've been going back and forth with it. So I like
Um,
to tell people that you communicate with this as if it was your personal human assistant, and it knows what
right.
you're talking about.
And the other way to know, like, this is not like super scary or out of anybody's reach, I showed my 81-year-old mother how to use ChatGPT, and that is like, I showed her what Power Partners are going to do, but now she's using it. So it is very intuitive once you start to build it. But people have to think about what are their best use cases. How and this is what I'm saying is like let Johnny and Kelvin give you ideas, and then roll that out because
That's
we
the one thing, as you said, at the convention, what's one of the things that we discovered, the number of people that came up to us, everyone, I mean, it was strange because it shouldn't have been called the B2B Expo. It should have been called the AI Expo
that's
for the
true.
number of AI companies that were there.
Yeah,
Well, we
that's
even
funny.
walked around and we asked, and all we got were mostly explanations about what neural networks were and all the detailed, technical, but they weren't really explaining the benefits. So what me and Kelvin decided, and it seemed to have resonated, at least it did with you, Ellen, was that when we did our 30-minute talk, we just said, you know what? Screw the technical stuff. We're just going to talk to the people and say, hey, what do you do? Let us show you some examples of how AI can benefit you. So I think it's much easier to understand what AI can do once you see it in action. So you're not really going to see the benefit until someone actually shows you the benefit. And I think that's what we're really good at doing. But we can't do that till we see your business. So don't be afraid to reach out. Don't ever think that AI can't help your business. I think that's the number one thing that I hear the most from most people when they go, well, I never reached out because I sell t-shirts. What's AI going to do for me? I'm like, are you kidding
Right.
me? There are tons of things that AI can do to help you with that. From a marketing standpoint, from a back-end automation standpoint, from an analysis standpoint, how do you know you're charging the best prices? And think about how we can automate changing the prices and whatnot. There are very, very large scenarios that AI can handle for you.
Well, this is like one of the questions is, and I'll answer it for you, is like, how do you differentiate yourself from other companies? You already answered it as far as I'm concerned, where, you were able to explain the applications. Those other companies were, like you said, talking about technology over everybody's head. And they were just like you. There was like, startup, uh, new companies, but, uh, the Johnny and Calvin are able to explain in simple language what AI is, how it can be used for a client. So that's awesome. I mean, do you see any other differentiators between you and other AI companies?
Yeah, so that's actually, especially from a year ago. Right now, you can Google AI assistants and you're going to get 6 million results and everyone throwing everything at you. So, and we get this question online. I think the biggest differentiator between us is, I like to tell everyone, we're not an AI company. We're an AI implementation company. What I mean by that is we have the expertise. Yes, we can build AI models. And if your company is in need of a solution where AI models need to be built from scratch, yes, that's absolutely a function we can do. But that's not our core competency. Our core competency is let's use what's already out there, the gold standard, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, whatever model you guys want to use, and use those to make your business more efficient, more profitable, more generate more clientele and whatnot. And we are really good at implementing and identifying where we can implement those within your business processes. So I think that's a huge differentiator than those guys that you find online and all you can do is subscribe, and you're going through a wizard and all you're doing is uploading. Yeah. I tell everyone, I'm like, oh, they go, oh yeah, this is only 15, 20 bucks a month. And I'm like, and you're getting what you paid for. I'm like, you don't know what's going on in the back and you can't ask questions. You can't make any changes. I tell everyone that the other thing about us too is that one assistant isn't going to solve the majority of your problems. You're probably going to need multiple assistants. For you, Alan, luckily it was one does fit all, thankfully, but not a lot of, some who are, felt that one of them could be for the back or like for a loan officer, one of the companies that I'm working for right now. He wants one for the public facing for his client to bring in more potential loan application. But on the back end, he wants one to help his loan officers make sure that they take a properly, fully filled out loan application. Then he wants another assistant to help his loan office or his loan assistant to make sure that they submit the entire package correctly to the lender. So those are three different assistants. Granted, it's mostly the same information, but you have to create three different prompting engineerings. You have to create three different levels of security. There's tons of additional things that go into it. And that's where we're different. We're going to build and maintain all that for you. That's the differentiator between us and everyone else.
Okay, that's awesome. For our audience, Power Partners USA is a B2B introduction service. We introduce business professionals to each other who can provide each other repeat leads and referrals or do business collaboration. We are targeting this podcast to your Power Partners, Johnny, to bring you more repeat referral business. Who would you say your Power Partners are?
Well, my power partners would be people like marketers, people who work with different types of clients who could use our services. It would be people who offer services for like municipalities and whatnot. We do work with a lot of municipalities. We want to be able to work with like technology service providers that, need or want to be able to include AI in their offerings. Those are the types of power partners where they want to be able to, partner with someone who want to include AI as an offering in their service packages.
Okay. And then what about finance and mortgage people?
The finance and mortgage people, I mean, they would be more of the client side, I believe. I mean, as far
Okay.
as the power partner side, they deal with more of the individual.
What about educators? Like people like consultants, business coaches, educators, things like that?
Yeah, people who work for universities or schools or tutoring companies or, a lot of those institutions or any kind of educational institution, actually trade schools, where they could really benefit from using AI to help or complement their teaching process. That would be a great power partner for us because we could really help them take their clients or their employee to the next level.
And just by the way, I have a contact, a friend who has clinics for mental health. How do you see AI helping therapists, for instance?
I'm actually working on a demo for as a psychologist. What we're trying to do is we take all of her notes that she writes for a particular client, as well as the book that classifies all the different symptoms and create kind of like an assistant for her so that because again, like you said, you can't remember every meeting and every word that was ever said. And some of these clients she's had for years. So being able to ask or have an AI assistant to be able to say, hey, provide me a summary of anything changed or any new symptoms or whatnot, should I be looking at or asking about? And we're trying to see if we can merge all that information so nothing slips through the cracks, right? It's not a diagnostic tool in any shape, way, or form. We're not saying that. It's an assistant to help her make sure that she doesn't forget or miss anything from the past because she's human. But also these diagnoses and these, I mean, that book is massive and they're always changing it. So, how do you know that a new disease or characteristic or threshold that hasn't changed and this person now does qualify or does meet a certain thing? So that's one of the really cool, interesting things. Like you said, AI has a forever knowledge and it
Right.
can remember, but now it can make all these connections as well.
Just in general, if a T provider, managed services provider, um, has a client and he sees what is what he sees an opportunity for that client to improve his internal process, whether it's saving time or we discussed a number of use cases of the system. They have to kind of know what you do, right?
Yeah, so for knowing one of the things that we have identified in some of the struggles that we run into with some potential clients is that for real estate agents, one of the struggles that we run into with real estate agents is that they don't have any proprietary information, right? We wanted to be able to use our model to focus on people with proprietary information to add significant value because what they're doing is more of a generic thing, which is not a bad thing. And I'm not talking down on it, but we want to be able to, create a partnership where we're adding value and being able
Yeah,
to.
you can't help them. So that's what I'm
Exactly.
looking for is like proprietary information, things like that that can
Yeah, we
um
want people with significant proprietary and proprietary not being like super secret, just unique to them.
but it's
Stuff that,
also like you said, like the manuals, the
yeah.
ability to take this information that nobody can
So
remember.
anyone with heavy policies and procedures, that is a huge one for us only because in studies and studies done that the most regulated and most companies that have the most policies and procedures aren't being used. But AI will make them use or will bring those people to actually use it. Because the hardest part about policies and procedures is that you don't know where to look. It's too cumbersome and and this brings it to, we tried fixing that with wikis and even wikis can get a little bit too convoluted. AI just kind of takes all that noise out and just takes you right to the answer, gives you the example. And, now your people are following your company's policies and procedures, which is really going to help them.
So Johnny, can you talk more about the process of getting the information from the client that you need to develop a scope of work, the discovery process? What is that like?
So the discovery process, we actually have another discovery form that we will send out once we have our initial introductory meeting with our clients. But most of that it's pretty straightforward, asking you what are the different sources of data that we should be. Meaning, how many do you have a website? Do you have more than one website? Do you have a separate blog? Do you have any social media sites? Do you take reviews? If you take reviews, where do you take reviews at? Is it Yelp, Google, Facebook, Instagram? Things of that nature. Do you have any internal documents that are, securely stored that we would need access to? Do you have any CRMs or, yeah, there's a whole laundry list. We basically, from a high level standpoint, I just need to know where all of the data is hidden, right? And I'm just talking about the three major things that I need is anything that talks about the company, right? Not, and when I talk about the company, I mean both the about page, who you are and what you do, but also your policies, your procedures, and anything else you want to be in part of the AI knowledge base. If you want to use that for your employees to make their jobs better. But then the second thing I would need is anything about your products. If you offer a product, I need product descriptions. I need product pricing. I need product availability and things of that nature. And then if you have any services on top of that, right? So if you have a help desk or a return process or your policies and procedures for, any of that kind of stuff, I would just need that information as well. Our job is to figure out where all of your stuff lives. And the reason we need all of that is we're going to create a process to consistently go out there and grab it and bring it into your AI knowledge base automatically. You tell us once, we build it, and you'll never have to worry about it again. And as you continuously push these things out, newer stuff out, it's going to pick it up automatically and add it to your knowledge base.
So just to clarify and let everybody know, there's a cost for all of that front end, back end work, discovery, scope of work, development, really, and then a monthly cost for what? What is the monthly cost cover?
We have our monthly Intelligage platform, which is the maintenance of all of that data ingest and that we're doing, converting it to the AI and managing the AI platforms and all of that. And then you have your choices of different interfaces that we offer. The one that we keep referring to, the assistant one, we
Yeah.
call it Prism AI. That is one of them. That's that chat bot that you can talk to. We actually have a newer tool that we're getting ready to release called Muse AI. And that's one that a lot of our clients have been asking for. And that's the one that's going to allow our clients to be able to create and automate custom social media content to be posted to their Facebook, Instagram, or blog. And that's actually unique. And, well, how's that different from all the other ones? And I'm like, well, we actually take your AI knowledge database and grab product descriptions. But not only that, we go out into the internet and look at what's trending on the internet, be it through news stories or Google Trends, and find out so that your content, when we generate it through the AI models, it's going to create content that is relevant to what's going on right now, which makes your content extremely relevant and search engine optimized.
That's awesome. Based on what you've seen, what is the biggest problem or problems your company solve for your client?
The biggest problems we solve for our clients is the proprietary information problem, being that we isolate the AI model to only their data securely, which also eliminates hallucinations. And then the second biggest one is the expertise that we offer with our staff, being able to consistently work with you to make sure that you get best possible end product. Because right now, when you go to your subscription base for ChatGPT, you're just kind of dropping it. And, no offense to people who are using ChatGPT, but, most prompts that you put in there, most people put in a 1 or 2 sentence.
Mhm.
Ours look more like, dissertations. They're 46 pages long with examples and different instructions that are very, very, very detailed.
So say you're a business owner and what would you say is like the simplest way to kind of get a taste of AI, like through Intelligage? In other words, to say, look, you have, in my case, one small module, but as things develop or I need more, I'm already set up, right, with
Mhm.
you versus
Correct.
starting from scratch. And
You already have all your data. Whatever other assistance or other features we need to build out, the foundation is already there.
the foundation is there. Good. Well, and the kind of advancements or these near completion advancements that, say like in the movie industry, it leads to the question is like, well, what ethical considerations should companies keep in mind? Because, it literally can replace actors. It literally can replace voiceovers. Are you seeing that as just, that's going to be the, the owner's decision, or,
Well,
can
actually,
people
no.
actually
So
stop
I'll
it?
tell you, I'll tell you right now. So, for example, in the Microsoft Azure platform, I do use a lot of their vision models to extract information from graphs and tables and whatnot that are embedded in different files. And part of me using that model, I have to agree to their ethics and fair use policy, basically saying that I agree that I'm not using this tool to violate anyone's personal or copyright or whatnot. Again, I don't know how they can enforce that, but you do have to agree to that. I think it's funny because I think ultimately what will end up happening is they're going to use AI to enforce that. Going through your stuff to see if you're creating AI images that violate a copyright or something of that nature. But then again, that's something that's been going on in social media for a long time. That's what Facebook was doing for a long time to moderate, although it wasn't 100% perfect. But yeah, there are ethical concerns. As a matter of fact, I'm sure most of the people on here heard a couple of years back, there was a large group of people that signed a letter asking that all development on AI stop for a period of 6 months because they had an ethical concern of where AI was headed. They thought that AI could be used for nefarious causes. And I will tell you right now, it is being used for nefarious causes. We've already seen hackers, the rise of hacking. Unfortunately, AI is really good at helping you code. So it makes very amateur people with bad intentions able to code very complex viruses and spyware that normally they wouldn't be able to do by themselves. And they can do it now with the help of AI. So, there's always good with bad, right?
Mhm.
unfortunately. So, you know, the ethical question will always be out there. It's something that you need to take into consideration, but it's one of the things that we take very seriously at Intelligage. And we want to make sure that we actually have filters built into all of our models by default to make sure that we don't use any obscenity, don't have any reference to violence, don't have any reference to sexuality or religion. I'm sure there'll be a scenario where in some cases that is necessary. I don't think we're in any of those spaces yet, but so we have those filters turned on
Well,
specific.
one of the, well, I mean, you know, the ownership of the data, for instance, like we've been talking about proprietary in businesses. Now we're kind of
Right.
getting outside of this, but in talking about ethics and, because I overheard a conversation in a restaurant where they sounded like professors, right? And they're saying like, AI is just taking my work. I spent all this time writing my book or my thesis or my, whatever. And now it's out there and anybody can grab it and use it however they want. And I get no credit or money. And at least I know in our system, I can, through your system, is source the content where it's coming from. So I can look at the answer and say, this came from this video, this came from this podcast, this came from this website page. So I know that the information is accurate and I'm sourcing it properly. I think that frees me up, like ethically to know that I'm not stealing anybody's information. This is information that we've generated on behalf of our members for promoting them. Whereas in the real world, like outside of what we're doing, it's almost the Wild West where I feel bad for people who put a lot of work into research and writing and then they get used.
Yeah, it's the same problem we ran into with music, 20 years ago when streaming services started coming out, right? Napster and LimeWire made music free, and the recording artists were not, well, actually the recording companies were not happy about it. We are seeing a lot of problems right now where books and textbooks and works of art are being absorbed or being trained into AI. So the question then becomes, if it was out on the internet, is it public domain or not? Right. I think those professors make a valid point. There was a copyright and it was a book that someone else purchased and then uploaded to the internet and then was captured by a bot that used it for training, but was not supposed to be public. There should be a way for them to remove that content from
Like,
the AI bot. I'll
yeah.
tell you right now, for the ed tech though, this actually came up. And one of the first questions I asked, and one of the things that we building into our model is licensing for the textbooks. Cause one of the major things that we're going to be using is textbooks, right? So technically all we need is one textbook and we can apply it for every student in the school, but that wouldn't be fair to the textbook company. However, I do know that you could have licensing agreements with them. And if we, were to charge or however we do plan on charging them, we could create some sort of licensing agreement where, however many kids sign up to use whatever access that we're going to provide based off that textbook, we pay a licensing fee to them.
No,
So,
good.
those things are I mean, that's just, in our opinion, the right thing to do, right? And
Right.
that's not, on top of it's also the legal thing to do. We don't want to expose our clients to any potential legal suits as well. Because, if we were to use that textbook and apply it to every one of their students without paying licensing, we're opening our client up as well. So we take those things very seriously as well. And we do bring it up. And those are things we take into account.
What are things about your service that might cause some resistance or pushback from the client when they start interacting with you?
So interestingly enough, the way that we're trying to keep prices down to make it affordable for small and medium sized businesses is something that has been causing a little bit of friction, right? So a lot of the things that we described and talked about in this podcast in, 5 years ago, we're building you software is what we're doing for you. We're customized, we're building you an entire uh, authentication databases, software APIs, the whole nine. So it would cost you hundreds of thousands, if not more, to build this, and we would build it and walk away. We don't want to do that because most small and medium sized businesses can't handle that kind of a financial burden. So the way we do it is from a monthly model standpoint. Problem we're running into is because they still compare us to a lot of these other AI, $20, $25 services where they do not get the white glove expert maintaining, managing, and implementing the AI for them. They have a hard time justifying the monthly cost that we're providing, which we have been told from a lot of the other major players, and we've justified on many occasions, is very, very, very well in line with the best prices out there for the quality of work that they're getting.
Right. So you would say that kind of the pricing model or the cost versus, profit model is not understood by the client.
Correct. I think we need to, and this might be something that we need to work on better, is not explaining what they're getting for the price as well as we probably should. Understanding that we go in, you're getting our expertise. We go in and figure out how AI can make your business better. We then implement that and then we manage it for you. We don't go away. We're like an extension of you. But because we're consistently there managing it for you and making it better as it goes on, that's what you're paying for.
Yeah. I mean, this whole thing is so new.
Right.
And, you're being compared to, you know, businesses that are basically subsidized or spending billions of dollars to develop the model, whereas you're just trying to apply all that to a small business. I could see where there's resistance. I have resistance myself because everybody has a budget, but it's more about understanding, okay, what are you getting? What's the value and what's the cost for it?
Correct.
And then you develop.
Yeah. I think one of the things though, as you said, once we get to the discovery phase and we can show them the initial actually we'll probably just end up showing them Power Partners AI. Once we can show them the actual demo and they can see the power of what it can do, I think it justifies itself very well. Moreover, let's put it this way, Alan, me and you talk more than you probably talk to any other vendor you've ever worked with. I doubt you get that kind of service anywhere else.
Well, I like talking to you because your product is so cutting edge. And from my experience, it works for me. I could see it working for other people. I have experience developing and working in software, and AI is new to me. I'm still learning it. I can't even find a good podcast to explain what AI is. It's all very general and it's like it's stupid. It's a waste of time. Talking with you, understanding these questions about process and discovery and now cost. The cost is the main thing for, I mean, a big part of it, which is unknown because there's no comparison,
Yeah.
right? So if, I've helped develop software systems and databases and stuff like that. So I have some background in it. Most people don't.
Yeah.
And I'm still,
That's the other thing too, is that you have access to it. I think that was the point I was trying to make, is that a lot of the other services, even ChatGPT, you can't call anyone at ChatGPT and ask them questions or figure out what to do, or, hey, why isn't this giving me the answer that I want? That's what we're here for. And that's part of the service.
yeah, no, I appreciate it. And it's absolutely necessary at this early stage of this
Yeah.
new technology. And I think that serves you guys well. And this is why we're talking with you versus the other AI companies that
Yeah.
we ran across, because we couldn't make heads or tails what they were even selling. So, is there anything else that you'd like to include that we missed or you'd like to mention?
No, I think we covered the breadth of it. I mean, no, I'm excited to work with the rest of the Power Partners. I think the Power Partners group is an incredible group of the people I've met so far. I'm really excited about the plans that you have for the group for the rest of the year. And,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a good year, my friend.
Well, I agree. And we're already seeing people want to talk with you, but what the next test of this conversation is, as long as my video records, all I have to do, I'm going to edit a little bit, but all I have to do is load it into my YouTube account. Your system will pull it into the AI.
And it'll
This,
show up.
hour plus conversation can be whittled down or boiled down to the questions that people want to know. So, and prompted as they go. So if they want to know about the process or what else did we talk about that? Like, they could ask a question like what? Like,
Anything about prompt engineering or general AI or any of the other topics that we talked about as far as ethics and whatnot.
I've already forgotten.
Yeah, and I will tell you right now,
Right.
I'm like, don't think I wasn't cognizant of that. I'm sitting here watching very carefully what I say, knowing it's going to go into my AI model. And I'm like, don't be dumb. Don't be dumb. Don't be
Yeah.
dumb.
But what I use it for then is to explain to a prospective client, like, this is why you need it. And this is not
Mhm,
from my words. These are your words, right?
mhm.
And I'm just relaying that into a letter of introduction. I'm relaying that into a referral to make it a nice warm lead so that they have more information and more confidence that they're going the right route, especially in something like AI.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And the other thing is that what other ways? I mean, based on what you've seen me use it for, it's mostly been used internally. You know,
Mhm.
it's not that used externally because either people don't understand it yet or they don't have the curiosity. I don't even care. What I care about is how I'm using it and as how to get other people to use it for its predictive questions and things like that. What other features do you think we'll be able to see knowing what you know about power partners in the future?
So knowing about power partners and the different types of capabilities, I think we talked about this in one of your other meetings that we had. I think one of the biggest things, like even for myself, right? I did this for one of my family members. Like I was going to refer them to one of our power partners. I think I actually did. I don't know if they ever called Jack, but we'll see. I instead of because I didn't know, I'm still brand new to the power partners group, and I didn't want to go through and pick someone that I was going to be wrong or read up. I didn't have time. So I went into the Power Partners AI and gave them the scenario instead, right? I have, someone who, you know, pulled out X amount of money from their retirement, thinking that at their age they was going to be tax exempt, but they just got this tax bill. They realized they made a mistake. Is there anything they can do to turn this into a loan? And blah, blah, blah. Just typed out the whole scenario. And not only did it give me its own advice about what had happened and some of the things that can or cannot be done, it referred me to the proper power partner of who I could go and ask more details about it for. So I think that's one of the most intriguing things about AI is that it makes the connection for you. Me being a data guy and having from the relational database world where I had to make the connection between all of the data, the relational data connections, the fact that AI can do that for us, but not on an explicit, a join, but on a contextual, it knows what we're trying to, or it knows what we mean to say, and it go out and find it and provide it to us. That to me is the game changing power of AI.
Right. And all we have to do is explain it to people. I think they're going to get hit with it eventually in one fashion or the other. They might as well get on board and start using it.
Well, I tell everyone, this reminds me of the mid '90s when the internet came out. In the beginning, the internet was a fad. You were a geek if you were on it. There was only a few thousand websites. I mean, but the few of us that were the tech geeks or whatnot, we really didn't know what it was going to be, but we knew it was going to be big, and we didn't know enough to ride that wave. But I'm telling you, this AI feels exactly the same way as it did in the mid '90s, and
Hmm.
this time I'm riding that wave, and I'm
Oh,
wanting
good.
everyone else with me, as many people as I can with me, because a
Yeah.
lot of companies got pummeled in the '90s for not taking that
Uh,
ride on the internet when they should have.
I see it. I want to write it. And
Yeah.
now that I understand it better,
Mm,
it's not that hard to get
yeah,
involved.
yeah, of
So, Johnny, thanks for
course.
your time today. I know you're busy with everything that you're doing. I appreciate, glad that you're a power partner. Glad you and your team is available to our members inside and outside the network. We'll look forward to working with you more.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you for your time. You have a good
Okay.
one.
Goodbye.